I'd like to call the Lee County Board of Education meeting to order at this time. At this time, I would like to have a moment of silent prayer and also a moment of silence for one of our students that passed away this week. Her name is Iona Clarice Barrett. So let's remember her and her baby in our thoughts. Amen. At this time, we stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome back all of our staff and students back from spring break and Easter holiday. I hope I can see all the principals and administrators here tonight. They look refreshed, so I welcome every one of you to meeting this day. Also, we have some public comments. We have a few names on this, and I would like Dr. Brian to help me keep the time. The first person I would like to call at this time is Robert Davis. Mr. Davis.
Well, I'm Robert Davis, and just to give you a little background, I'm not bragging with this one. Now, pride comes before a fall, so I'm not bragging, but I'll give you a little bit of background so you know I'm not just a disgruntled employee. Right? My school has sent me 4 times as Teacher of the Year. I feel very honored with that. Right? My EVOS data is all in the blue, so my kids perform, so I know how to get it done. And the reason I mention that is we have a real serious problem. We have a problem in our system, and if we address it now, we can still fix it, but we're putting it off quite a bit. During my time as an educator, I've watched accountability for teachers increase, but the student accountability has gone down progressively each and every year. And we're going to dig ourselves in a hole we can't get out of if we don't hurry to do something. Anyway, I'm all in favor of holding teachers accountable. Don't get me wrong. We need to be held accountable. But the game needs to be fair. And right now, it's not fair. We don't have a fair chance of success. We have kids that come to our classes, and they can do nothing. They can fail all the classes. They can fail the end of grade test, and we're going to send them on to the next grade level. And that lack of accountability as far as academics filters into regular behavior problems that we're now having. And, we have things compounding one after the other. We're not doing anyone any favors. And we're teaching them to be counterproductive. They know that they can come in and do nothing, and, their future challenges will be met the same way, doing nothing. Kids in my 8th grade class, when they leave me, are not magically, getting better when they get to the high school. We're filling at all levels, K-12. We need to have some help as teachers. And these kids are smart enough now, they've seen it enough now, that they know they don't have to perform. I pulled up some of the data and looked at the kids that came to me at 7th grade. 42% came in below grade level, reading 3 and 4 levels or more below grade level. Now, somehow as an 8th grade teacher, I'm supposed to have them pass the 8th grade test. That's not going to happen. Not if that test is valid. But I will grow them, as my data shows. I can grow kids. But the job's getting harder and harder every year. And I'm getting a little grayer every year. We need some help. In the last 3 years, my team of teachers, we replaced 3 science teachers, 2 math teachers, 2 social studies teachers, and it's not because I'm hard to work with. They weren't leaving me. They were leaving for counties around us that are evidently having a little more success holding kids accountable. I refuse to believe our kids can't do that too. I've seen them do that. Been here a long time. We have some good people. we have some good kids. And if we expect them to behave
Mr.
and to
Davis.
perform,
Time.
Time.
oh,
Sorry.
okay. I'll be back, I guess.
Thank you.
We need some help, though, folks. We really do. Need to come in and look in our classrooms, talk to some of our teachers, and actually, have a plan to do something about it. Because, we'll be glad to talk to you. I haven't seen it yet. Come talk to us. Help us out. We need some help.
Thank you. I need to remind everyone that we have 3 minutes for the public comments, individuals. The next person is Sylvia Is it Wickers? Dickens. Sylvia Dickens.
Thank you for letting me speak. I'm out of county, but I'm here. This is my second school board meeting in 2 days. My grandson was educated in Lee County schools for K through 7. He's now in a Harnett County school. He'll be going into Overhills High School next year. And some of you know me because I've been pretty active in the school system when he was here. I became aware of something, and you may know it, but I'm here to share it just in case you don't. My grandson is cursive illiterate. He's going into high school. I'm just wondering if the high school teachers know that they have thousands of students that are going into their high school who cannot read or write in cursive. I found this out when a teacher sent me a note back about some grades that weren't what they ought to have been. And in discussing it with my student, I was getting a little bit different story than what the note said, so I handed him the note from the teacher and I said, "Read this to me." He could not. This is a student who was identified as an AIG student in 3rd grade. I'm not putting blame on teachers or on you. It's on me. I should have known this. But when I found it out just 3 weeks ago, it stopped me in my tracks. And I hope it stops some other people in their tracks when they realize that we have, I think, 2 years. Your 8th graders going into high school and your 7th graders, I believe, never received proper instruction on how to write. Therefore, they are unable to read basic cursive writing. Now, we can print in elementary school and maybe middle school. I don't know about high school yet. We're not there. But when you go out in the business world or you join the military, I can pretty much guarantee you, at least from my experience in the workforce, they're not going to hand print everything that I need to know on top of the report they're handing me. They're going to put a sticky note on it, and they're going to write in their cursive handwriting what they want me to do with that report. What are these kids going to do about it? My student is going to be very unhappy this summer as he reads and he writes all summer in cursive. I can't do anything about the other thousands of students that are going to be going into your high school unprepared for the world. Thank you.
Thank you. Pam Sutton.
My name is Pam Sutton. My address is 2002 North Shoreline Drive in Sanford, North Carolina. When did student-led events start taking priority over the school district's policies and the student code of conduct? All school leaders are ultimately responsible for the enforcement of school policies and should be setting the examples for our students. According to our local news, school administrators were to remain neutral and to provide safe, secure, and structured places for students to gather. How is this not a violation of Lee County Policy Code 7720 and Rule 18 of the Lee County Schools Student Code of Conduct? Were the parents of the students at Wesley Middle School East Lee Middle School, San Lee Middle School, Lee County High School, Southern Lee High School, Bragg Street Academy, and Lee Early College even notified that their children would be out of class for at least 17 minutes during the instructional day? How could this not be a disruption to instruction and to learning? Is this not in direct conflict of the state's purpose for our schools to provide students with a sound and basic education? As a former principal, I am sure that the disruption to learning was more than 17 minutes, considering the time spent getting students in and out of the building and settled back into class. Would this not equate to students missing an entire class period of instruction? Did the administration imply that students could walk out without any negative consequences or repercussions? If so, is that consistent with school policy and the Student Code of Conduct? Was it safe for students to be outside the building during a nationally publicized event? Were students really locked out of the building during the walkout? How easily could they have been targeted by a sniper while outside participating in this event? Are students who opted not to participate in the national walkout on March the 14th going to be given the opportunity to have a walkout in the future for a political event of their choosing in lieu of their participation in this one? Was the Lee County Board of Education informed, or did they discuss the walkout prior to its occurrence? What role, if any, did the Board of Education and the school board attorney play in permitting this event? In my research, I cannot find any evidence that the Board of Education was informed of the event or discussed it beforehand. Another national walkout is scheduled for the anniversary of the Columbine school shooting on April the 20th. Will Lee County students be participating? As a principal, I signed a contract saying that I would enforce board policy and the Student Code of Conduct. Is that not still true today? Why would the school system have policies and codes of conduct if they are not going to be consistently enforced by school leadership? Who is responsible for enforcing board policy and the Student Code of Conduct? Ultimately, all school leaders are responsible for the enforcement of school policies and should be setting the examples for our students. When board policy and the Student Code of Conduct are enforced consistently, students know what is expected of them, and trust is gained in the community. Thank you for your time and for your attention this evening.
Thank you. At this time, I will call Mrs. Amy Dariampo, our chair of commissioner. She's just coming back from Raleigh, and she called me on the way.
Good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak before you tonight. Happy spring. I noticed on the, I'm here for something else later on, but I noticed on the agenda tonight you were going to talk about the school protest that happened at our high schools and our middle schools. And I'm here for public comments as a parent. And I just want to thank this board and our superintendent and our administrators for allowing the students in Lee County to be able to express themselves and to share with us as adults that they won't change. And I realize there's some questions that have been asked about how we need to go about this. We have another date coming up. We're in a different world now. Our students are interconnected, and they know not just what's going on in the other high schools within our county and middle schools, but they know what's happening, you know, across the country. And they share with each other and they support each other. And I think that's a good thing. That's what democracy is about, is being able to stand up and share your opinions. And that's what I think we should be teaching in our public schools, that, you know, everybody has a right. That's the first right that we have in this country. Everybody has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and a right to their opinion. And look, you know, I was just talking to a friend from Chapel Hill, and they had 3 or 4 schools under tremendous law enforcement protection today because of a threat they got yesterday. We're in a different world, folks, and we need to do a better job as adults. We have tornado drills, we have fire drills, but when I was growing up, we didn't need lockdown and active shooter drills. And it's not a gun issue. It's adults need to come to the table, and we need to sit down and figure out how to keep this from happening. So I just encourage you to look at your policies, talk to parents, talk to our students. They are really intelligent and they've got a lot of great ideas. And I would just encourage you to keep supporting them as they grow into good public citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know how you get here on time.
Don't ask.
You
The-
heard that.
The next person is Bob Finch, Mr. Finch.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bob Finch, 1414 Carter Street, Sanford, North Carolina. I'm going to tell you something you don't know about me. In 1981, I was attending Ferris State University, where I graduated from, and experienced the first hand of school violence when a accounting professor was killed by a fellow student. The only thing we did back in the 1980s, we put a plaque up. The next day we returned to class. But I can tell you today, I'm glad that we have a board of education, principals, and staff members who support the students' right to protest, to demonstrate their frustration with the system. I thank you. And then some people forget that the Vietnam War era, many of people protested then. In a case, Tinker versus Des Moines Community School District, the Supreme Court ruled students have a right to protest, be it garment speech, as long as it's reasonable. There's no way in hell any board of education, be it state, etc., can take away a Supreme Court rule. We need to focus our time as board members here. Some of us have a political agenda that have absolutely nothing to do with education of children. Some of us talk about when we used to be principals or we used to be commissioners of this. Get off your damn high horse.
Sir,
Let
I'm going to
it go.
call you out of order for the vulgarity. We cannot
Let it go.
allow profanity in the
And
discussion.
lady, thank you. I'm out of order. Guess what? I have a right to be out of order because I am a citizen and I'm tired of it. Everybody's tired of it. Why don't y'all just, if you don't like the way things are ran here in Lee County, there's several highways that lead. You know, we do this all the time with certain individuals in this room. Let's call it an end. Let's move forward as a community. Let's unite. This gentleman came here and spoke about his students not able to do whatever they need to do. This woman came and talked about her son can't write in cursive. But you know what? It's my understanding, I do voter registration. There's a lot of kids who can't write in cursive, but apparently the school district, or not the school district, but the State Board of Education doesn't allow for funding for that. But we need to allow ourselves to be aware of, we hear the certain needs of the students, and if they have a right to protest, that's fine because it is protected by the Constitution of the United States. And Tinker versus Des Moines School District in 1969. For some of us who can always find time to go to State Board of Education to get their opinion on everything,
Mr.
if
Finch.
they're not happy with what we do,
Mr. Finch.
let them, repeat,
time.
let them
Mr. Finch.
sanction us for not following their rules.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, Mr. Finch. Jim Womack, Mr. Womack.
My name is Jim Womack. I live at 1615 Boone Trail Road here in Sanford, North Carolina. Today I mailed in to the superintendent, and we'll make sure that everyone gets an electronic copy of it, a public records request requesting info that I believe should be made available to everybody in the public, that should have been available before, but is very difficult to find if it's published anywhere. And essentially it covers a lot of the documentation related to the W.B. Wicker School. And for clarification, let me just cite for three things that were of concern to me, just so it's straight in the public record. One, I'm genuinely concerned about the safety and security of our children when they go to school in Lee County. There's no more important priority to the county commissioners and the school board, or there shouldn't be any more important priority than the safety and security of our children every day that they're in our charge. And I just want to make that clarification because people think that I'm opposed to the school or other members of the board might be opposed to the school because of other reasons, but it really has to do with safety, security, and cost. Second item was cost, and the cost to acquire the site, the cost to construct the building, the cost to maintain it operationally through its life cycle is of genuine concern to me. I've run many programs to include when I was at the Pentagon, multi-million-dollar, multi-billion-dollar programs in the Pentagon. It was involved in providing threat assessments and that sort of thing for many years, and I can tell you that no Department of Defense program would ever go forward without a proper threat assessment and then without proper cost assessment and cost analysis to see if that was the most prudent thing to do in terms of cost to the taxpayers. And that's another concern I've had about it. That, you know, a good elementary school should cost about $18 million, maybe $20 million on the high side to construct and acquire the land for. In this case, we're looking at maybe $30 million before we're all said and done, and that's a real concern to me as a taxpayer. The third item, I think, is transparency and openness. I think that there's been a lack of transparency, whether willful or not, a lack of transparency and openness about many of the things which relate to this school, which drive the cost up or which might have pertain to security. In the future, I'd encourage you to publish these things in a place where citizens can find it. The budget for the school, the actual cost versus the budget, the contracts that are being awarded for the school so that people can know if they're being held to that contract, which families are going to be impacted. To this day, no one in Lee County knows whose kids are going to go to that school. I think all the families are going to be contacted, and the geospatial analysis that's been done to determine which families are going to have their children go to that school, that needs to be published if it's been done at all. So citizens want to know these things, not just me. You know, there are people families that are going to be directly impacted, and I think we owe it to our taxpayers, we owe it to our citizens, and especially our families and teachers to know all these details about the W.B. Wicker School as it goes forward. Thank you.
Thank you. The next person is Martha Underwood. Miss Underwood.
I'm Martha Underwood. I wish to protest the coming student walkout on school shootings. Students' protests do not stop students from shooting or beating up or bullying other students. The Florida school shooting was horrible, but a walkout violates school policy and does nothing to make students safer. According to Lee County Schools Student Code of Conduct, Rule 18 on boycott, sit-ins, and walkouts states, no student shall participate in any boycott that causes disruption of any lawful school function, which I assume includes no disruption to academic classes, taking tests, etc. Discipline listed was up to 5 days suspension. Likewise, Rule 19 against protests, marches, and picketing states, no student shall, on or off school premises, engage in any protest, march, or picketing or similar activity which results in the disruption of any lawful function of the school to which he or she is assigned. Discipline, up to 5 days suspension. I have been told that in several weeks, Lee County Schools has scheduled another student walkout to protest the Columbine school shooting, which took place April 20th, 1999. Why? Most of our high school students are not even born then. They experienced no emotional trauma from this incident. Our schools have already had one walkout on March 14th in protest to the school shooting in Florida. This type of protest activity does not make students safer, nor does it explain why school kids become shooters, nor what actions students should take if they see a weapon on school property, nor see what they should do if they see a social media post threatening harm, or see any other suspicious activity. School shootings and other violence are real and horrible. In fact, in this calendar year, 2018, there have been gun incidents in these North Carolina schools: Albemarle High School, Salisbury High School, Carver High School in Winston-Salem, Central Elementary School in Statesville, and South Macon Elementary School in Franklin. Please, school board, direct the superintendent and principals to prepare constructive educational activities for the entire student body in dealing with current events that will empower students to stand up to threats and violence without the mindless chants, without emotional blame that disregards root causes, and without acts of civil disobedience
Ms.
that
Underwood,
violate the
time.
student handbook.
Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. At this time, we will conclude our public comment. So at this time also, I want to recognize some guests here tonight. Sanford Errol, Noah Grant, also the representative, Ms. Margaret Murchison from the radio station. Thank you for being here. Our chair of commissioner is here tonight. And also we have several people, distinguished people here tonight. Also, I want to thank our representative from Fort Bragg, Laurie Solavier. Today is this month is a month of the military. So we, for Military Child's Month is what it is. So we want to celebrate with these children, and we want to give them a special recognition. She has a table over there. Laurie, you want to come and say some few things for 3 minutes about what you do?
I am the school liaison from Pope Army Airfield, and April is Month of the Military Child. April 13th, 2018 is designated as Purple Up. Purple represents all branches of the service, so wear your purple. I thought I'd bring some facts, and these facts come from the American Association of School Administrators. These are facts about military children. Approximately 2 million military children have experienced a parental deployment since 2001. There are currently 1.2 million military children of active duty members worldwide. Nearly 80% of military children attend public schools throughout the United States. The average military family moves 3 times more often than their civilian counterparts. The repeated and extended separations and increased hazards of deployment compound stressors in military children's lives. 1/3 of school-age military children show psychosocial behaviors such as being anxious, worrying often, and crying more frequently. The U.S. consists of approximately 1.4 million active duty service members and 810,000 National Guard and Selected Reserve. Active duty military families live on or near military installations worldwide. National Guard and Reserve families might never live near a military installation and look to their community for educational services, friendship, and support. A positive school environment built upon caring relationships among all participants, students, teachers, staff, administrators, parents, and community members has been shown to impact not only academic performance, but also positively influence emotions and behaviors of students. And lastly, supporting the military child takes a school-wide effort and professional development opportunities to inform school staff of the academic and social emotional challenge military children face. And so I have a ton of resources over there. You're more than welcome to take them. And I asked Sharon Spence if anything was left over to take it with her and disperse it as needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Solavier. At this time, I will also want to, we got a letter from the governor that we should recognize the AmeriCorps Service Month, which is a month when we celebrate those America's graduates who go around and teach our students with little or no pay. They are doing a great job. If you've served in the America before or in any shape or form, we want to salute you for what you do. And the next thing I will do before we go to our vision, I want to bring our chair of Lee County Board of Commissioner back. She just came back from the meeting of the LGC, so she wants to give us some good information about what they do.
Thank you, Chair Akinosho. Just a brief statement. Our county manager and I were in Raleigh this afternoon for the local government commission meeting, and the bond sale was on their agenda, and I'm happy to report it was approved unanimously. We had a really good meeting. Yeah. It's been a hard 3 years, but we have the approval for the bond sale, so we'll be moving forward. And just a lot of good conversation before and after the meeting from members of the LGC. They were impressed with the project. They liked our finances. They were very excited for us and looked forward to coming in August of 19 for the ribbon cutting. I invited them to come and join us. So got a couple of try to work it out. So,
thank you. That's good news indeed.
Yeah. So I appreciate the partnership that our board shares with this board, and I think it's gonna be a great thing for Lee County, all three projects, but especially the school. Thank you.
Thank you for what you do for us. At this time, we will go to the number 5 on our agenda, the Lee County Vision. I don't know who has it. Patrick already distributed.
I have it, Mr. Chairman. And it'd be my pleasure to read our vision statement for Lee County Schools. In partnership with the community, we'll provide challenging learning experiences for students in a safe and supportive environment. We are committed to academic excellence, technological innovations, social responsibility, and lifelong learning. Our success will be demonstrated by the achievement of our students and their positive participation in society.
Okay. The next one is the vision.
Code of
The
Ethics.
code of ethics. The vision and code of ethics. Okay.
The Code of Ethics for School Board Members is Policy 2120. The board recognizes that collectively and individually, all members of the board must adhere to an accepted code of ethics in order to improve public education. Members of the Lee County Board of Education should avoid conflicts of interest and appearance of conflicts of interest as we handle the work of the board. Avoid the solicitation and or acceptance of gifts in return for advice or assistance on matters concerning the operation of the business of the board. Avoid the misuse of public funds. Avoid misrepresentation or falsification of facts, and avoid making confidential information public. The board accepts the Code of Ethics established by the North Carolina School Boards Association.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to have a motion for the approval of the agenda of 4/10/2018.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the agenda for April 10th, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion. It was seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? The motion is approved. The agenda is approved. The next thing is the minutes of 3/15/2018 and 3/15/2018 for the minutes of the last meeting, regular meeting, and 3/15/2018 for work session.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes for 3/15/2018, the budget work section for 3/18/2018, and the budget public hearing and the budget work session for 3/19/2018.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion with seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved. At this time, we'll go to the announcements and chairman's report. We have so many things that's happened this past month. I was able to attend the opioid meeting in town. A lot of people came, a lot of law enforcement. I like what the community is doing to fight drug abuse in our community, and it's something that we all need to come together to do, and it's affecting every home, every family, and it's not just it's their problem, it's everyone's problem. So we need to work together on this one. Also, I want to recognize some of our students, because that's what we do here. One of our students, Britton Buchanan, he's been shining on the television, is from this community. He's a student of Lee County School, so it's something wonderful to see. Another student of ours is recognized at Everett University as the student of the year. Those are products of Lee County schools. No matter what anybody think or feel, my kids went to this school system too, and they did very well. So we see those kind of kids, and my kids went to school with Amy and several other people's children here. So when we look at some of the things that our kids are doing, it's worth celebrating for all of them. And as a board member, I'm proud of what we are doing in this community for our schools, and a lot of great things are happening. Please read our Inspire. We have a school magazine that we print on a regular basis, and we want you to read it, know what we're doing, see what we're doing, see what we're about as a school. That will conclude my report as the chair. At this time, I will ask for the superintendent to present his own report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Gail Smith to come forward, please. We have two very special awards and recognitions to give out tonight for Governor School.
If Jordan and Maddie would come up, please. Okay, what we're doing, this is some good news for everybody to celebrate. Lee County Schools will be represented by two outstanding students for the 2018 Governor's School session this summer. Both students will be rising seniors at Southern Lee High School when they attend Governor's School in June. We have Sarah Madison Maddie Buchanan, and she will be attending Governor's School West in the area of natural science. And we have Jordan Uriel Gonzaga will be attending Governor's School East in the area of mathematics. Just a little background, Governor's School of North Carolina is the oldest statewide summer residential program for academically or intellectually gifted high school students in the nation. The session this summer runs from June 17th to July 25th. I'm going to start and give you a little information about Maddie. Maddie Buchanan has been selected to attend.
Before you go forward, can we recognize the parent if we have any parents?
Sure. Parents can come up here too. Okay, come on. You ready to come?
Behind any successful child, there is a parent who is successful.
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Yes, we appreciate your support of your student. Maddie is going to Governor's School West in the area of natural science. Maddie is passionate about science. Her interest in the medical field started as a child when she would play with her grandmother's stethoscope and blood pressure cuff. When her mother went back to school to obtain a degree in the medical field, Maddie would find herself engrossed in her mother's anatomy textbooks. Her fascination with medicine has never waned. In fact, last July, Maddie applied and was accepted to the Summer Ventures residential program with the School of Science and Mathematics. She participated in the biomedical science course. For the past 6 years in middle school and high school, Maddie has been an avid competitor in Science Olympiad, in which she now serves as club president. Maddie credits her extensive participation in Science Olympiad with not only broadening her knowledge of science, but with the development of strong interpersonal skills. Other academic achievements include becoming a member of the National Honor Society, Lee County Scholars Award winner, Quiz Bowl participant, and receiving the Most Proficient Student Award in 7 different courses at Southern Lee High School. Maddie's chemistry teacher, Julie Randolph, states in her recommendation, she is curious about scientific processes, creative in solving problems during laboratory investigations, and thorough in writing reports to summarize experimental data. Maddie is a leader in the classroom. Another teacher, Jacqueline Watson, Maddie's health sciences teacher, wrote, Sarah has a uniqueness quite her own. Her quality of learning is above the average student. She seeks out opportunity and will independently follow up with her own research. Congratulations, Maddie. Okay, now for Jordan. Jordan Gonzaga has been selected to Governor's School East in the area of mathematics. At Southern Lee High School, Jordan is passionate about math. In his essay on the Governor's School application, Jordan equates being good at math to being able to think analytically, being an effective problem solver, and being able to apply the logical reasoning skills required in math to one's daily life. Jordan feels these skills are crucial to his future plans to pursue a career in engineering. As part of his plans to prepare for a career in engineering, last summer, Jordan applied and was accepted to participate in an engineering course at a residential program at the University of Rochester in New York. Jordan learned of the Rochester opportunity through contacts he made as part of the Scholars Latino Initiative, which he has been a part of for the past 2 years. The Scholars Latino Initiative is an organization within the Center for Global Initiatives at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, whoop, whoop, which is, now I lost my place, which is dedicated to educational excellence and fostering the academic success of promising Latino high school students. Jordan is one of about 130 students across the state chosen to participate during high school. And you have to go back and tell Mr. Ricky Hurtado that his 4th grade teacher, Miss Smith, said hello, and that I would love to come visit him sometime. I was ecstatic that he ended up at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. All my career, I pretty much tried to influence all my students to go there. Let's see. Jordan is one of, I got that part. Another major supporter of Jordan's academic success has been participation in the U.S. Army Junior Reserves Officers Training Corps, Junior ROTC. As a cadet since his freshman year, Jordan has learned valuable time management skills and self-improvement training. As a result, he was awarded the Junior ROTC Academic Excellence Award for maintaining a 4.0 GPA or higher. And just last week, he was notified of his acceptance in the National Honor Society. David Miller, Jordan's honors pre-calculus teacher, states, Jordan is a highly intelligent and extremely motivated student. He has adapted to the rigor of the course with ease and on a daily basis grasps the new concepts that his peers continue to struggle with. He is not here to just go through the motions, but is truly in search of an education. Congratulations, Jordan.
Congratulations. I would like the board to take a picture with those kids. If you're done, are you done?
Yes.
Okay.
We're done.
This side over here. Can we keep sitting this way? Here, so we get pictures. Y'all just stay here. Sure. You want to send us a little bit? Thank you. Patrick, can you put this thing? Everybody just stay there for 1 second. So you can get to Go ahead. Go ahead. Did you get everything you needed? Yes. All right.
Yep, I got to smoke my crutches. Yeah, don't take my crutches. Okay, congratulations.
That's a good choice too, right?
get pictures tonight.
We will slow it down.
You sit the next one out there. Too quick.
I say, put her in the chair and let's roll her down.
Sit,
Yeah,
sit
there's
for
no
the-
ramp. I'm gonna stage a protest, lack of wheelchair access to our stage here. This is not my way to spend spring break. I took break a little too seriously. My apologies.
No problem.
Congratulations again to our students. We're very proud of you. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for you at Governor's School. This time I'd like to ask Amy Petrarca to come forward, please, with her staff. Amy, it's with great pleasure tonight that we award Greenwood Elementary School the Clean School of the Month award tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you very much for having us here for this recognition. I have with me tonight Miss Francine Brown. She is my head custodian, and we call our team at Greenwood Team Francine.
I love it.
So she keeps everybody in shape there at school, and if you haven't come to visit us, I welcome you to come. The school is always beautiful because of her work and the work of her team. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, the third item on my report tonight is the budget. What you have are the two sheets which were presented at the original budget work session, and also our public hearing and work session that we had just a few weeks ago. And in these two documents, we've incorporated the changes which you all asked for that night. Just very briefly, what we're asking for on the general current expense side, supplement increases of 1% each for certified and classified staff, from 10 to 11% for certified and 4 to 5% for classified. Athletic coaching supplement increases as well. Also, 2 additional nurses, 1 guidance counselor at Lee County High School, which was a change that was made during our work session. 2 testing coordinators, 1 each at Southern Lee High School and Lee County High School. 24 additional months of guidance. 2 additional elementary behavior support specialists. 1 AIG specialist at the middle school. Additional contracted security personnel. And also $25,000 to account for Duke Energy rate increase. And increases for retirement and hospitalization for a total of $2,071,603. On the capital side, there are several items to maintain and enhance our facilities. Track prep at Lee County High School for a new track. Floyd night removal of old floors and install VCT flooring. Kitchen fire hood upgrades at 10 of our schools and our cafeterias. Lease of 5 modular units with Bullock, Edwards, LEC, and Tramway as the schools. Our continued mower rotation between our middle schools and high schools. Boiler and storage tanks at Broadway and Deep River. Intercom upgrades at Bragg Street and Greenwood. A roof, new roof for the maintenance building. Van and truck purchase for the maintenance department. Also Bragg Street fitness area. An upgrade for boilers at Broadway, Bullock, and Tramway. Carpet replacement for the front office at Southern Lee. HVAC upgrade motors and wheels for Deep River, BT Bullock, Tramway, and Broadway. Boiler replacement at the Hines Building. Athletic female dressing room facilities at Southern Lee High School and Lee County High School. Building concession restroom facility at Lee County High School in the practice area. In-house construction budget of $100,000. Additional security cameras at various schools, and a technology purchase for laptops for a total of $2,427,000, which is what I believe everybody walked out of the last meeting in agreement to.
I have one point of clarification, if I may, and it really came up to my mind today. The item on the consent agenda that we have tonight, the Floyd Knight Moisture Barrier and VCT, that is not the same as this on our capital request for 1819, is it? So we're approving, it's the bid. We're accepting the bid on funding that we're requesting that we don't have? Does that make sense?
I think it does. We're certainly going to get, I don't want to speak for the commissioners, but I think there will be capital funding that will be there, and that's one of the priorities for us to do that.
Okay, so this, I can't think of the accounting term for what I'm trying to say, but the reconciliation, there's the word, it came to me, will happen when we reconcile the total budget, but essentially we are putting out a bid for future money. This is not money that is in
Yes.
in current
Yes.
expense accounts.
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to clarify that. Knew there was a word for that.
Questions about, other questions about the budget?
If we have no further question.
One final item, Mr. Chair, with spring break being out now, everybody's sort of in the final push for heading towards our EOG and EOCs for the end of the year, and I think we've gotten back in school. Everybody got a well-deserved rest with spring break, and I think everybody's hitting the ground running, coming back.
Or at least hobbling.
Doing the best we can.
Did that
Thank you,
end
Mr.
your-
Chair.
Okay. That ends the superintendent's report. At this time, we'll go to the committee reports. And we'll go to CNI.
Good evening, Mr. Chair. The CNI did not have any meetings after our board meeting last month. The next CNI meeting will be at Southern Lee High School, April the 11th, tomorrow at 3:30. Then Bragg Street Academy, April the 25th at 3:30. That ends my report.
Thank you. At this time, we'll want the facility and technology report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is this working? The F&T committee had quite a productive meeting yesterday. The first action item on our agenda concerned the Floyd Knight Children's Center. It is a VCT moisture barrier, better known as flooring, and it was consensus of the committee to award the Floyd Knight Children's Center moisture barrier bid to Southeastern Interiors in the amount of $54,973. The funding source for this, of course, is the 2018-2019 capital outlay budget. A second item at Floyd L. Knight was approved. The Children's Center asbestos and radiator pipe removal bids. Believe it or not, we still have some radiators and radiator piping at Floyd Knight School that was used originally, of course, for heating, and that needs to be removed, of course, as well as the asbestos. And it was a consensus of the committee to award the Children's Center's asbestos and radiator pipe removal to Environmental Holding Group, EHG, in the amount of $43,300. And of course, the funding source for that also is the 2018-19 capital outlay budget. The third item on our budget concerned the W.B. Wicker Pre-K 5 STEAM School asbestos removal bids, and there is still some asbestos in that building that has to be removed. And it was consensus of the committee to award that asbestos removal to EHG. That's Environmental Holding Group, in the amount of $55,750. And of course, that funding will come from the W.B. Wicker building budget. The next item was the W.B. Wicker STEAM School contract. This is actually the contract that we're going to awarding the contract for building the building to American South General Contractors, in the amount of $21,931,545. And you have in your packet, and we'll spend some more time on this later, a sheet of cost-saving items that was presented by Mr. Height, in which we reduced the price of the school to get into the amount that's been appropriated for the budget, and this price gets us underneath that cap, so we're now clear with the county commissioners to proceed with the building. And the last item is a leasing agreement. Since the county commissioners will actually own this building and pay for it, we will indeed lease that facility from the county commissioners. And it was a consensus of the committee to approve the W.B. Wicker School resolution approving the leasing by the County of Lee, North Carolina, of certain school facilities to the Lee County Board of Education, requesting said county to provide financing for the construction, renovation, and improvement of an elementary school, and authorizing and approving a construction and acquisition agreement and lease agreement in connection therewith. And this item, of course, will be under new business, and we'll visit that more thoroughly later. And Mr. Chairman, while I have the floor, I would like to thank Mrs. Dalrymple for being here this evening and presenting the news from LGC. If that hadn't happened, the school wouldn't happen. And it's been a long process. We've been working on this for 4 years, and without the leadership and cooperation of the county commissioners, it would never have come to reality. So thank you, and thank you for your board for your support and leadership in making this a reality. The next F&T committee meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, the 24th of April at 4 p.m. in the Heinz Building. And that concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. The next thing on our agenda is the Finance Committee report.
Mr. Chairman, the Finance Committee has not met this month as we've been busy with the budget. The next committee meeting will be on April the 24th, 2018 at 5 o'clock in the Heinz Building.
Okay. Thank you. At this time, we'll move to Policy Committee.
Mr. Chair, the Policy Committee did not meet last month, and as a result, our next meeting is scheduled for next week, April 17th at 5 p.m.
Okay. That concludes our committee reports at this time. We will go to the consent agenda. I will need a motion to approve the consent agenda since they are coming from the committees.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion, a seconder. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion is approved. Unfinished business. Now we have the new business, Wicker School contract.
Mr. Chairman, before I make this motion to approve the contract with American South General, of course, Mr. Height, our architect, is here. Dr. Bryan is here. All of this information has been presented previously, but Mr. Height, if you'd like to come to the podium and address any questions or information that the board may have.
Thank you, Mr. Height, for coming.
Yes, sir. I'm happy to answer any questions about the process, about our past experience with this contractor. Whatever you'd like to know, I'm happy to talk about what I know.
I'd like to say that it's been my pleasure to work with you over the last few months doing this with our F&T committee, and we are charged to be good stewards of education, but also we're charged to be good stewards of taxpayer money. And I want to say you did a fabulous job when we had to revisit our budget and our plans, and what you presented to us yesterday makes sense, because again, we are
not up here just to educate, but we have to make sure we take good care of our local taxpayer dollars. So, and the stuff you recommended, like I said, whenever we're with the committee, minus the grass that me and Chris don't want to have to mow. So,
Help me out to just understand the chart that I'm looking at here, and I left my iPad at home, so I'm really struggling here. I need you to hold it out there. It's broken into two columns, the recommended and the not recommended. Who developed these items? You, as the architect, recommended a list of items, and then the committee met to determine which ones were desirable and which were not, or this was between you and the contractor?
The contractor and I met to discuss our mutual ideas.
Okay.
On where we could find reasonable cost-saving measures.
Correct.
And of course, we discussed the value. They call it value engineering. I'm not sure that that's a correct term, but they're cost-cutting ideas, and we developed a list of 23 items, and of those, we actually recommended 8, and the committee wanted to see one of the 8 put back into, actually one of the 8 taken out of consideration. And so we ended up with 7 of the items recommended for the total savings of $536,000.
Okay.
What that's what you presented to us last night at
Yes,
the
sir.
facility committee. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So now the amount that is reduced meet the criteria that the Board of Commissioners give to the school board for the contract.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to add that those savings were reached without sacrificing any quality or excellence of this building project.
None whatsoever.
We sacrificed nothing.
no decisions were made with our maintenance folks, and we looked at how the cost saving would occur in the future, looking at what we spend in the future when it comes to maintenance and how it would be affected. So not just watching our tax dollar bottom line now, but in the future as well. So make sure that we stayed where we were there. And I'll gladly explain the one item that we voted to keep was the artificial turf between the buildings. We decided to keep that as artificial turf to help protect our children's needs, but also for maintenance, not have to worry about trying to mow the grass and take a lawnmower through the building. So we wanted to keep it as artificial turf. That was the one thing that we didn't go along with.
Because it's an interior area.
Because it's an interior area. There's no way to get to it other than walking through the actual building to get to it. So
Well, I was looking at it, and one thing I was pleased to see is some of the security elements were maintained, because I knew there was some discussion. We wanted to open 2 security booths, and there was a question of, well, we could just get rid of one of those and have that a non-staffed entrance, and I'm glad to see that remained.
And both those security booths are brick and mortar as well.
Right.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
with that stand.
Thank you.
And nothing. When I asked him yesterday about the design and the structure of the design, if anything is going to be compromised because we're cutting, no, the design, right? Is that what
That's
you
correct.
said?
That's correct.
The design and everything stay the same. Just a few cosmetic stuff is what is being removed so that we can meet what the commissioners want. So,
Correct.
and we are quite satisfied with what was presented to us. I don't know if any of my colleagues have any more questions before we let Mr. Hyde. Okay.
In that case, Mr. Chairman, it'd be my pleasure to make the motion. I move that the Lee County Board of Education award the W.B. Wicker Pre-K 5 STEAM School Building contract to American South General Contractors in the amount of $21,931,545.
We need a second.
Second.
We have a second. Ms. Livingston seconded. I want us to vote by showing our hands. All in favor say aye. Okay, we see it. 1, 2, 3. Okay. The vote is unanimous. Thank you. The contract is approved. So at this time, we will go and discuss the W.B. Wicker financing resolution.
Mr. Chairman, the F&T Committee also reviewed the W.B. Wicker Pre-K 5 STEAM School financing resolution at our yesterday's meeting. As a result, the committee recommends approving the W.B. Wicker Pre-K 5 STEAM School, the resolution approving the leasing of the County of Lee, North Carolina, of certain school facilities to the Lee County Board of Education, requesting said county to provide financing for the construction, renovation, and improvement of an elementary school, and authorizing and approving a construction and acquisition agreement and lease agreement in connection therewith. And here again, this is necessary because the county will own the school for the duration of the loan, and we will be leasing that school from the county commissioners. Once that obligation bond has been paid, then ownership of the school will reverse to the Board of Education. So that's what this document does, and therefore I'd like to move that the Lee County Board of Education approve the W.B. Wicker Pre-K 5 STEAM School resolution leasing certain school facilities to the Lee County Board of Education, requesting the county to provide financing for the construction, renovation, and improvement of an elementary school, and approving a construction, acquisition, and lease agreement.
We have a motion, a second?
Second.
Okay. Second. The motion is seconded, and let's raise our hand as let's do hand vote.
All in favor?
All in favor? Okay. It's unanimous too, so thank you for voting. At this time, we would like Ms. Womack approach me that she wants to talk about the walkout. I don't know what she wants to discuss. Let her tell the board. Yes.
Well, I'll explain. Just
You
a little
have
bit.
you have 3 minutes.
No.
I said 3 minutes.
No. Actually, I would like for the board to discuss it. Everyone was given the opportunity to stand up and talk, and you think that you know me. You don't know me. I challenge you with this. Every person sitting in this room, out of all of you put together, I have witnessed and been with children in traumatic events more than all of you put together. My top priority, of course, has always been safety, but I took an oath for the education for the children of Lee County. And now I'd like to take a time to educate someone on the Supreme Court case of Tinker versus Des Moines School District. It does say they have that freedom of speech, but there's a reason for it. It came back to say the protest itself cannot be disruptive to our schools. What will you protest next week? My top priority is the children. And when you say I stand behind my child because they walked out, I challenge you. Stand in front of your children. Make a difference. There's other avenues to do it, but in a classroom, you are there to learn. I had the most wonderful time in the Leader in the Me program. I literally wanted to cry walking through the sidewalk, all the kids singing. That's our leaders. I'm so proud of them. They will be the leaders that will change our next generation. But they had things written on their walls like, when I fail, I learn. When plan A doesn't work, go to plan B. You know, now's the time to take action. And for people to say thoughts and prayers, that's not enough. I challenge you as a community, attend some of these events that I do, and the pouring rain when they do a spelling bee, or when I pay out of my own pocket. I don't know how many board members have paid from their own pocket to go to training. I love this community. I love this county. I'm just asking that we abide by a law and our own policies so our children are not confused. There were 7 policies that violated, not just one, but 7. And I'm certain that Jimmy Love sat in the same class as I do. We all have the best interests of these children in our community. I just want you to know that I love you guys. I care about you. I took the complaints, and to me, it's valid concerns, not just about the law, but with our policy. If you want to do that, let's change the policy. Provide guidance. Let me help you. I promise you, I'm more dedicated than you will ever realize. And I am looking forward to the W.B. Wicker School, sir. That's all I have.
Anybody else?
I would like if at all possible, for us to remand this down to the policy committee to take a look at our student policies regarding protests, sit-ins, boycotts, and political activities, and review them in light of the current environment and see if there need be change or if we need to have better education on how to enforce the policies that are on the books as written.
And Mark, if possible, if we could have our lawyer address the issues of the legal implications of establishing a precedence for future educational events that things like this occur, because the First Amendment goes kind of both ways, kind of like a double-edged sword. And I'm not promoting that by any means. I'm just saying, what can we do legally with those concerns? And also, what do we do when the children leave the classroom for 17 to 20 minutes? By law, our children are required to be in school. That's why you have longer days for snow days. So if it was possible, if the board would agree, I would like for our board attorney to look at some of those issues and what we can do to maintain consistency and be able to be within the law as far as classroom attendance and how they report it and what we allow and not allow for clarity.
You asking for my answer now?
Not now, sir. I would just like for you to look at it and get back with us, sir.
Glad to. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
If we have nobody else who wants to say anything, if what you're saying, you want to put it to a motion, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we have our board attorney address the issues in reference to us setting a precedence for future political events, and how are we to handle this legally as far as classroom time with the students being out of the classroom.
I'll second that.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
With that, I think we need to look at policies that denote whether something is a political event or tribute or if it's something else. Like, I think that's how we may need to define when we look at that policy. Is it a political protest? Is it a tribute? What is it exactly? And I think that's where discussions with our administrators and students come in. And I think with that discussion, our administrators should be, principals should be in that discussion as well. So I'm agreeing with you. I'm just saying that I think that's sometimes where the lines get blurry. Some students may see it as a protest, some may see it as a tribute. So I think some of our policy, when you look at that policy, that's something that you should take into consideration.
I would like to add on that, there's some things that people still classify as political that are not political. I questioned the superintendent. He talked to me about the walkout. The walkout was to be in commemoration of the 17 who were killed. I don't know how anybody else feels about it, but I remember being let out of school very early in the 8th grade. That was on November the 22nd, 1963. I remember the next week we had students in the auditorium watching television when they should have been in the classrooms because there was a funeral. I think that when we define this, we need to leave a little leeway, like you said, for the administrators, but especially leeway for the superintendent to define the situation. Political is a long and sometimes a wrong word.
And I concur. You've basically said what I was trying to say.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
One thing, and I've thought a lot about this, and I would ask the board to help me or be thinking about how you define disruption, because I think that's the secret of how we're going to proceed. But when I talk to each of you, if you have any thoughts about how you define disruption, then I'd appreciate your thoughts.
I will make a comment. If somebody wants to make a counter motion, they can. To me, I don't see it as a protest. As a preacher, the Bible says we should sympathize with those, we should mourn with those who mourn. And these kids were doing what they're supposed to do under the freedom of association. We allow the same kids to go and attend Christian Athletes program and several other, the Gideons and things, and that we taught our children, like one of the people who spoke talk, we taught them to be involved. We taught them to understand empathy and sympathy. We taught them to understand love and pain. And the 17 minutes that it is, I don't think, in my own opinion, that policy needs to change the way it's read. I don't believe that we're living in a country where things have to be draconian. We are growing kids that we want them to be free thinker. That's why America is a great country where people can come and flourish. And that's something that's very special about this country. So for me, if somebody wants to make a counter motion or we vote on that motion, because we have a motion now, that's why I allow discussion. Do we want to vote on that motion to move forward or leave it as it is, so that the superintendent can make a decision when it comes to that decision?
Mr. Chairman, could I weigh in before we address the issue? We all received on this board a memo from the North Carolina School Board Association before this occurred. They informed us of several things. First of all, First Amendment rights are not sacrificed at the schoolhouse door.
Yes.
And secondly, they recommended, as long as these walkouts were not disruptive, that they should be allowed. Our children are required to go to school for 2,008 hours every year, and that's 17 minutes that they spent at the flagpole in remorse and sympathy for their slain classmates, I think may be one of the best learning experiences of the year, and I see no reason that we should change our policies.
I don't necessarily, my position on that is that there are those students who chose to go out, and there are some students who would have chose not to go out. I guess the only concern I have is if the instructor of the class walked out of the room and demanded that the classroom be emptied because of a lack of supervision, then we have a problem. Where a student who was there to learn, who is assigned to a class period for a certain period of time to learn, was then deprived of the learning opportunity and forced into a situation where that student may or may not have felt comfortable. I really think that the opportunity for an educational forum is completely appropriate. I'm not sure that walking out of a building that provides security and safety is the best way for us to encourage our students to deal with whatever feelings of remorse. I think it would have been a much more appropriate time to have a meeting within the building, an assembly or something that could talk about the multifaceted issues and have those concerns met. I don't like the walking out of a building. There's so many risks involved there that I think is kind of a secondary issue, but that it has to be decided, and I think policy guidance is the way to give those instructors, those principals and so forth, the grounds upon which to make decisions that are in line with policy. I think it was haphazard. I think it was, I don't know that anybody really knew what was going to happen at the time. It just kind of happened. And now's the time to discuss what happens next time.
Yeah, right now that we have a motion and a second, let's vote on that motion if we have the motion to continue.
Can we, I would like to hear the motion one more time before we vote.
Yes, what's the motion again, Ms. Woolman?
To me, it's very simple. The motion was that we have our attorney, our school board attorney, investigate and come back with us the implications of the fact that we have now set a precedence. What are the legal implications of setting a precedence? And he'll come back and tell us the same thing, is that we have to allow an opposing view. If there was an opposing view, you say it's a memorial, but
that's not a motion.
Yeah, but the motion already gave the motion. The motion was to have our attorney look at the legal implications of setting a precedence, and also the legal implications of them missing the classroom time that we report to the state.
I have a question as well. The attorney also asked for us to define disruption. So
disruption is,
before we move on, he asked the board to define that. So before we can ask him to do what you asked him to do, we need to define, or we need to take time to define what disruption means that he wants us to review. So I suggest that we lay aside temporarily your motion.
Okay. Okay.
So the motion is tabled then. So let's move forward.
Don't we need a vote to table the motion?
I thought we were taking it until somebody wanted to look up the definition of disruption, which means to stop doing something that you normally do.
You don't know.
I thought I could help you with that. I thought that was what you were trying to do. You don't
If-
need a
if-
definition for disruption.
if
They
you
left
want-
during a test.
If you
know?
want to move on with the motion, let's vote on the motion. Whether it fails or pass, we know. So let's vote on your motion. We have a motion. We have a second. All in favor of that motion, say aye. Let's raise our hand. If you, okay, we have two. Opposed. So the motion fails. So let's move forward then. The next thing is we need a motion to go into closed session.
Mr. Chair, I move that the Lee County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of discussing information that is privileged, confidential, and not a public record under North Carolina General Section 143, 318.11A1.
We need a second.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session now.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we come back into open session.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are back in open session.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we approve the personnel report as presented.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye. Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we move back into closed session. I move the Lee County Board of Education go into a closed session for the purpose of discussing information that is privileged, confidential, and not a public record under North Carolina General Statute 143, 318.11A1.
Second.
So we're going back to discuss the superintendent's evaluation.
All in favor?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved. Thank you.